Pacific night tastes like salt and fear. We've dug in along a narrow sandbar, waiting for shapes to move where the surf turns black. Command said they would come before dawn. Command was right. They're crossing the sandbar fast, quiet, too confident, bayonets fixed, blades touching just enough moon to whisper a promise. They expect us to meet steel with steel. They expect a charge, a scream, a knife fight in the dark. But tonight, we're not bringing knives. We're bringing a storm. They expected bayonets. Instead, they met a wall of buckshot. The weapon? A hunting shotgun turned trench killer, the Winchester Model 12. The Japanese had come to Guadalcanal with a playbook written in blood. 2 words defined their doctrine: Kishu night surprise attack, Kyoshu night force attack. Their manuals preached that darkness was the equalizer, that American firepower, machines, and radios would falter in the jungle night. They believed spirit outweighed steel, that bayonets, blades, and a rush of will could shatter Western armies before dawn. Early victories seemed to prove them right. Singapore fell. The Philippines collapsed. To Tokyo, it confirmed a truth: Americans were weak in close combat. But that doctrine had never met a Marine with a shotgun. Winchester's original military pattern, Model 12, lacked a trigger disconnector by design. Hold the trigger down and work the pump, and the gun fires the instant a new round seats. Designed in 1912, the Model 12 evolved steadily. By World War II, the military trench configuration featured a shortened 20-inch cylinder bore barrel, a perforated heat shield, and a bayonet lug. Small but deliberate changes for the brutal work of close combat. It fired 0.0 buckshot, the military load used in the Pacific, each shell carrying multiple heavy pellets. In service loads, the configuration used by Marines delivered roughly 9 lead pellets
the Winchester
per round,
Model
little
12
cast iron
trench
clouds that turned a choke point into a kill zone. But the real tactical surprise wasn't a single shell, it was the way the gun could be cycled. Winchester's original military pattern, Model 12, lacked a trigger disconnector by design. Hold the trigger down and work the pump, and the gun fires the instant a new round seats. Experienced operators could slam 5-6 rounds in under 3 seconds. Do the math. 6 shells, 9 pellets apiece, 54, projectiles raining in a 3-second window. That burst density beats the short-time volume a bolt-action rifle can deliver in close quarters. And more importantly, it blankets a volume of space instead of requiring pinpoint aim. This isn't to say the shotgun replaces rifles or machine guns. Its advantage is burst density at contact range, area effect, instant suppression, and psychological shock. The shotgun's potency was already controversial. In 1918, Germany formally protested American use of close-range shotguns in the trenches. The U.S. rejected the protest. Secretary of State Robert Lansing warned reprisals, and the weapon's military use continued into the next war. You can call it a hunting gun, and that would be true once. But decades of refinement turned the Winchester Model 12 into something else, a purpose-built trench tool by the time the Pacific War began. The Ithaca 37, another trench favorite, had advantages later on bottom eject and simplicity, but the Model 12 was widely regarded for its smooth, robust
different
action.
philosophies,
Submachine guns like the Thompson, MP-40 or PPSH delivered automatic fire, but with single projectile bullets great for suppression, not the same area effect at pistol range that buckshot produces. Put simply, the Model 12 was not the flashiest weapon on the roster. It was pragmatic, reliable, easy to maintain, and when used with the slam fire technique, it produced a density of effect at close range that rewrote tactical assumptions on Guadalcanal and beyond. Guadalcanal was America's first step back into the Pacific. Operation Watchtower, the first Allied offensive since Pearl Harbor. The target, a jungle, covered island, where the Japanese were building an airfield that could threaten supply lines to Australia. The Japanese responded with speed. Colonel Kiyonao Ichiki's detachment, 916 men, elite, hardened. Their mission, drive the Marines back into the sea. In the pre-dawn hours of August 21st, Ichiki sent his men charging across the sandbar at the Elu River, straight into interlocking fields of fire. Machine guns cut swaths, artillery fell, and in the shadows, shotguns roared. After-action reports singled out the value of every available weapon. One line repeated, shotguns proved valuable at close range. By dawn, Ichiki's unit was gone. 800 Japanese soldiers lay dead. The detachment was annihilated. The Battle of the Tenaru proved more than a tactical victory. It shattered a doctrine. The The myth that American soldiers would collapse in close combat, destroyed in one Pacific night by buckshot and firepower. By 1943, the fight moved deeper into the Solomons, New Georgia. Here the war wasn't sandbars and open fields. It was dripping jungle, narrow trails, and ambush waiting behind every tree. And in that green maze, one Marine carried the weapon best suited for the job. The point man. His lifeline was the Winchester. In jungle patrols, you didn't wait for a perfect target. You fired at sound, at movement, and buckshot did the rest. At 20 yards, the spread was wide enough that aiming was almost optional. A single shot could break an ambush before it began. They called it jungle lane shooting. Each blast stripped foliage, exposed hidden soldiers, and cleared the path forward. The shotgun wasn't just defense, it was the machete of firepower, cutting a way through the Pacific. By 1944, Japanese defenses had changed. Colonel Kunio Nakagawa turned Peleliu into a fortress of coral. Hundreds of caves linked by tunnels, interlocking fields of fire, designed to withstand bombardment. To clear them, Marines turned to their most brutal close-range tool. They called it skip shooting. Fire buckshot at stone walls, let physics do the work. Inside the cave, the effect was chaos, metallic shrieking from every direction at once. For those who survived, the sound was more terrifying than the wounds. On Saipan, the Marines made it doctrine. Specialized shotgun teams, 2 shotguns, a bar gunner, and grenadiers. Together, they cracked bunkers and swept fortifications 1 room at a time. Then came the largest banzai charge of the war. 3, maybe 4,000 men hurled forward in one desperate wave. Machine guns cut hundreds down, but when the enemy reached the lines, it was the Model 12 that held the ground. Each shotgun blast carving gaps in the charge, each slam fire burst, stopping the rush cold. By the time the sun rose over Saipan, the myth of the banzai charge was broken. Against overlapping fields of fire and the storm of buckshot, spirit alone was no longer enough. February 1945, Iwo Jima. General Tadamichi Kuribayashi had built the most elaborate defensive system of the war. More than 1,500 caves and tunnels, honeycombing 11 miles of volcanic rock. To clear them, firepower alone was not enough. Flamethrowers seared the openings. White phosphorus grenades smoked and burned. And then the shotgun. Skip shooting wasn't theory, it was necessity. Buckshot ricocheting off stone walls turned every corner into a storm of lead. Survivors described it as metallic shrieking, coming from everywhere at once. In those black tunnels, fear echoed louder than fire. Kuribayashi's network was designed to break an invasion. Instead, it became a proving ground for American improvisation, fire, phosphorus, and the Winchester Model 12. April 1945, Okinawa. General Mitsuru Ushijima and his strategist, Colonel Hiromichi Yahara, had prepared the last great fortress of the Pacific, a defense built on attrition, designed to bleed the Americans dry. For 82 days, the island became a grinder. Caves, pillboxes, tunnels. The tactic was called blowtorch and corkscrew. Flamethrowers supplied the fire. Explosives sealed the exits. And the shotgun, the Winchester Model 12, was the corkscrew, clearing what was left. At close quarters, nothing matched it. Slam-fired shells cut through defenders hiding just feet away, making every bunker a death trap. By 1945, Japan was arming men with bamboo spears. America, by contrast, had produced 61,000 Model 12s and millions of shells. Industry turned pragmatism into firepower, and firepower into victory. Other armies chose different paths. The Soviets flooded the front with 6 million PPS submachine guns. The British handed out Stens cheap, stamped, disposable. Germany clung to the MP-40. America alone invested in the shotgun, not as mass issue, but as a specialist's weapon. In Korea, shotguns came back in the night fighting. Against infiltrators moving silently through the dark, the Model 12 gave American troops the confidence to hold their lines. In Vietnam, the shotgun was the point man's gun once again, instant firepower against jungle ambushes. In the tunnels of Cu Chi, its blast echoed in the dark, clearing passageways where rifles and machine guns could not follow. For civilians, Winchester dropped the slam fire, too dangerous in the hunting fields. But for the military, that brutal feature remained because in combat, speed mattered more than safety. What made the shotgun deadly was not factory doctrine, but marine improvisation, skip shooting into caves, mixing buckshot and slugs for flexibility. These weren't orders from the top, they were battlefield inventions, passed from marine to marine. Bottom-up innovation, the American way of war. For Japan, the bayonet and the banzai embodied spirit. For America, victory came from firepower, innovation, and industry. It was two visions of war colliding in the Pacific, and only one survived. As one veteran put it, the sound of that pump cycling was worth a platoon. Japanese infantry never expected slam fire, but the Model 12 wasn't just a gun, it was America's message. We will use any tool, any innovation, any firepower to win. Compared to the older Model 1897 with its exposed hammer, the Model 12 was stronger, cleaner, and smoother. Against the Ithaca 37, it had scale and proven battlefield legacy. No other shotgun combined rugged reliability with slam-fire speed quite like it. 61,000 Model 12 seconds, and America barely noticed, because in the same years, it built millions of rifles, hundreds of thousands of machine guns, and tens of millions of rounds. This was the real weapon, American industry. Japan tried. Bamboo armor, deeper bunkers, false positions, but against buckshot at 20 yards and flamethrowers at the door, none of it could hold. The shotgun killed with lead, but it also killed with sound. That metallic cycle, echoing in the night, told friend and foe alike. The Americans were ready. The Model 12 proved that spirit alone could not stop firepower. That doctrine must bend to innovation. And that victory belongs to those who combine technology, logistics, and the will to adapt. That is the American way of war.